How is Russia still functioning considering they lost millions of lives during COVID? People are dying daily in the war, demographics and birth rates are record low, but somehow they function. Just how? The COVID losses were generally old people. Sadly, those deaths generally benefit an economy. The country is very big. It can absorb the current losses. Not well, but well enough. The demographics issue will really hit in about 20 years or so. Stay tuned. Large things take a while to really fall over. Russia still has some juice, but had spent pretty much all its cushion of prosecuting this war. It could win tomorrow and it wouldn't prevent the economic calamity that's already hitting them. They have no way to climb out either. They are sanctioned up to the hilt. Nobody will invest in Russia. Nobody wants rubles. They're having to sell their oil on the black market, and it's not going away anytime soon. It's going to be an incredibly painful decade or two. The same way they survived World War II while losing tens of millions. If there's one thing Russians are good at, it's resilience and adaptation to hard times. Grinding up a few million Russians in a war or famine is practically a national pastime over there. Russia keeps going because it's a big country with lots of natural resources and a variety of ways to make money. OP, just compare for a moment the Ukrainian war versus, for instance, WW2. Russia has lost, what, 100k dead, maybe 300k casualties? I don't know the details, with comparatively little civilian impact. The Soviet Union lost 27 million in WW2. The Western Front didn't have shit on the Eastern Front. And that was a war they fucking won. Does that give you a better idea of just how much shit a country can take before it folds? Russia ain't folding anytime soon. Edit. Lots of very legitimate counterpoints to my comment, so I just want to say this is a broad point about what a country can take. There are obviously huge differences in circumstances between the two examples, such as the immensely important fact that the Ukrainian war is not an existential threat to the Russian peoples. To demonstrate that the current circumstances are not beyond the strain what many countries have historically shown they can take during a time of war, to address the idea that Russia's should have been a foregone conclusion by now. Russia lost millions during COVID? Source please. According to Wiki, https://en.am.wikipedia.org/wiki/covid-19_pandemic_Russia. I know it's not the best source, but it'll do. People died from COVID is less than 1 mil. This wiki page, https://en.am.wikipedia.org/wiki/casualties_the_Russo-Ukrainian_war shows that Russia lost about 120k in the conflict. And this wiki page, https://en.am.wikipedia.org/wiki/demographics_of_Russia shows that currently there are almost equal to 146 mil people in Russia. So, Russia functions just as it used to be. Not much has changed. Despite significant challenges, Russia's government maintains control through various means, including strong central authority and propaganda. Additionally, the country's vast resources, particularly in energy exports, provide a financial buffer. However, the long-term implications of these issues remain a concern for the country's stability. I encourage you to do some light reading on Russian history. They know how to suffer better than anyone. Unpopular opinion on Reddit: Western sources are horrible sources when it comes to what's going on in countries the West currently dislikes. Greater than they lost millions of lives during COVID. Lol, what? Vodka. Plus strippers and coke. But mainly vodka. I am Russian. So you can ask me whatever you want. I can say that my city at center of Russia, and I am far from border with Ukraine or others country, but I have what to say because most of what you just said is massively exaggerated by the Western media. That's why lol. Lol, I lived in Russia during the pandemic. Millions of lives is such a massive exaggeration. Obviously the media is very anti-Russia. I am Russian and live in Moscow. Also I work for a large government company. My thoughts on economy. Sanctions actually did hurt a lot. Most of the business is scrambling to get quality tech and equipment. Chinese is shit and breaks a lot. Russian IT sector is non-stop working to mimic Western tech, for example, Microsoft Office, but it is still shittier than original. The only things that saved the economy are China, India and many schemes to export goods stealthily. My company, for example, uses a bunch of intermediate companies to hide where it all came from. On the war, analytics were making predictions based on the info they had at the moment. They didn't account the fact that Russian government redirected a giant piece of budget to the war sector. Metallurgy and defense plants works non-stop. Defense budget of 2024 is twice bigger than in 2023 and 3 times bigger than in 2022. All the other business in the country finance that. My company is forced to pay extra taxes and dividends, for example. On life in general, while most of the people live in blissful ignorance, the small slice of intelligent middle-class people is disgusted by war. Inflation is large. Everything is much more expensive. With ruble falling, it's even more expensive to buy imported goods. Cars are a luxury, for example, and entirely Chinese. Still, by using the same shadowy schemes, we get most of the tech and goods like iPhones and clothes. But it still is somewhat gray imports, so no warranty and support. Well, the country is big, but realistically only 2 cities matter: Moscow and St. Petersburg. As long as people don't rise up there and overthrow government, no issues for them. As oligarchs are still sitting on billions and rest of the villages freeze, shit into holes outside and praise Putin's picture on wall. You're being lied to about most of that. That's why